Alright guys, so what I've got here, in a better way to try and explain the basic dosage by body weight, because I know that was something we kind of struggled with in class on Monday, I was just trying to come up with a way to better explain this, and I want to see if maybe some type of visual aid will some way help. So what I've got on the screen here, I've got a particular drug. It doesn't matter what the drug is, and you can see on the label that it says that anybody who's taking this drug can take 5 milligrams per kilogram per day. It also says there's a warning on the back of the label that says, and please excuse the handwriting there. I'm trying to draw this with my finger and it's not very good, but it says warning on back of label says to take in equally divided doses every 8 hours. So it's saying whatever you get, you can't, whatever we end up calculating here, we can't take it all at once and, at just one time period. We need to take our dose throughout the day. So in another way to explain this, I've got two different patients on the screen here too, written in red at the bottom. I've got patient number 1 is a 60-pound child, where patient number 2 is a 15-pound child. So obviously very different sizes, meaning that they're going to take very different doses if they're both able to take the same drug. So what we'll have to do our little calculation to figure out, okay, so again, the medication says that we can take 5 milligrams per kilogram, but again, because our patients are weighed in pounds, we have to calculate that into kilograms first. So remember in class, I think we had a pretty easy time with that. It's simply just taking our weight in pounds, dividing it by 2.2. So when I take 60 and divide it by 2.2, that gives me 27.27 repeating. So let's just call it 27.3. I don't know. We'll just round it. 27.27 would be just fine too. So this is what this child weighs in kilograms, whereas over here, 15 pounds divided by 2.2. 15 divided by 2.2 gives me 6.81, so we'll just call it 6.8 just to kind of show us here that, again, we've got two different size patients. Patient number 1 is 27.3 kilograms, and patient number 2 is 6.8 kilograms. So again, if they're able to take 5 milligrams per kilogram, then again, like I mentioned in class, that for every kilogram they weigh, they get to take 5 milligrams of this drug. So somebody who would weigh 2 kilograms gets to take double the amount of dosage. They would take 10 in this case. If somebody weighed 3 kilograms, they would end up taking 15 because they're taking 3 times that amount. Because again, it's for every single kilogram. So what we did was we simply just multiplied it by that particular dosage. So patient number 1, because they're 27.3 kilograms, we simply just multiply that by 5, and we figure out that, again, 27.3 times 5 gives me 136.5, meaning that patient number 1 is going to take 136.5 milligrams per day. And I'm saying per day because that's what it also says up here on the label, that whatever this patient is taking, or whoever the patient is, they're taking 5 milligrams per kilogram each day. That's what it says right there. So our patient number 1 is taking 136.5 milligrams per day. Whereas patient number 2, because they're a little bit smaller, when we multiply their weight by the dosage, they're going to take 34 milligrams per day. So I don't have enough room to write per day, but they're taking 34 milligrams per day. So you can see the tremendous difference in what we're taking here, that patient number 1 is larger, so they're going to take more medicine than patient number 2. And again, this is considered a daily dose because the label said that our general dose was also per day. But a different patient who weighs a different amount is going to take a different size dosage. So now let's take into consideration the warning on the back of the label. So let me erase a few things on here. Let's see. So remember 136.5 and 34. Okay. So patient number 1, again, was taking 136.5 milligrams per day. And patient number 2 is taking 34 milligrams per day. Okay, but again, the warning on the back says we can't take this all at once. So patient number 1 isn't going to take their 136.5 milligrams all at once, and patient number 2 is not going to take their 34 milligrams all at once. What it's saying on the label is you need to take it every 8 hours. So what we know here is that that's going to be, quite often in a day period, but how often? So another thing I wanted to also show you guys on here is kind of a visual representation of where we get, if we have every 8 hours in a 24-hour period, why is that 3 times in a day? Well, you have to kind of think, let me see if there's a better way to kind of represent this, that if I had a, say just a bar here representing how many times we're taking something in a day. So this is a 24-hour day, so let me split this up real quick. Okay, obviously those bars aren't evenly spaced down there, but what I'm trying to represent is the 24 hours in a day. So there should be 24 bars down there. So what I want to show you guys is if this particular medication, again, it is showing us that we have to take it every 8 hours, then let's say we take it just at this particular hour. This is the first hour of the day. We'll call it 12 a.m. It doesn't really matter. But if we're taking it every 8 hours, then here's 1 hour. This is the hour that we're taking it. So then here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we'll take our medication again at this hour. And then here's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We'll take it again at this hour. That's a really big hour, but because I can't draw. And then 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then there's the next hour. So you can see if we're taking something every 8 hours in a 24-hour period, we're going to take it 3 times. So again, what the warning is telling us, don't take this 136.5 milligrams all at one time. It's telling us to take it 3 times in a day. So we need to divide it up evenly. So not all the 136.5. Instead, what I'm going to do is I'm going to divide it by 3, because what that will show us is if I take 136.5 divided by 3, then I get 45.5, and that's what this patient is going to take every 8 hours. And then I'll do the same thing for patient number 2. Again, you guys on your final are only going to have one patient, but I just want to kind of show you a comparison. So this patient, if we take 34 and divide it by 3, then this patient is going to take 11.3 milligrams every 8 hours. So that's why we chose to divide it by 3. An easier way, instead of having to draw that ridiculous bar at the bottom, to figure out how many times in a day you would take something, if you just take into consideration that there are 24 hours in a day, divide that by the number of hours that we have, then that shows you how many times in a day that would be. So that's why we chose to divide that by 3. So in this particular case, if we were looking at just one of these patients just at once, let's say we're looking at patient number 1 over here. So again, we're just pointing out this guy right here. On the question on the final, you may get, okay, well, what does this patient weigh in kilograms? And we figure that out. What is what is their daily dose? And that's the 136.5, because that's what they would take in a whole day. And then you may get asked, what is their individual dose? Meaning, what are they going to take multiple times in a day? And that would be the 45.5 milligrams. That's what they're going to end up taking 3 times in order to get to their daily dose. And it's the same thing over in patient number 2. Their daily dose is 34, whereas their individual dose would be the 11.3. Your individual dose is always going to be smaller than your daily, because your individual dose is what you're taking multiple times in a day. And the reason I gave you guys these 2 examples here on the screen is because this is what you're going to see very similar to what's on your final. You don't really need to worry about anything else. I know where there's some other practice problems where it kind of gives you the opposite, but if you feel pretty comfortable with these, you'll be fine on your final. So I hope this helps, but let me know if you guys have any other questions.